Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is just after 5 o'clock, 5:08 to be precise. My name is Matt Murphy, and this is the Matt Murphy Radio Show on Supertalk 99.7 WTN. Today is our Giving Tuesday from the Valor Ridge campus with Men of Valor. It's a different kind of show, and if you've been listening for any length of time, you know that we're focusing in on Men of Valor, exactly what they do for our community, how they do it for our community, and the good that they bring to all of us, truly. And frankly, I've not mentioned this prior to now, but it should be said over and over again, that whatever amount of money that you give, if you go to movministry.com, and I beg of you to do so, go to movministry.com, click on the Give Here button, and give as you can. There's many different giving levels, but whatever you give is greatly appreciated by the people of Men of Valor, and frankly, by the entire community in the state of Tennessee, because, I say it often, and you hear me from time to time when I talk about Men of Valor, that they take what is a national, over 70% recidivism rate nationally. So what that means is within 3 years, men that get out of prison, 70% of the time go back to prison within 3 years for some reason or another. Men of Valor graduates, they turn that percentage from over 70% to under 15%. Now think about that. The amount of money that's saving us in the state of Tennessee, just dollar for dollar, it is such a value that you give to Men of Valor because you're keeping these individuals through the program, through the graduation, through all of the resources that they provide these men that get out of the prison system. If you keep them out of the system, then not only are you saving souls to Jesus Christ, not only are you providing them an opportunity for an eternity, you're turning takers into givers in our community, which is going to benefit the community exponentially. And bottom line, you're saving money, because that's less money that we have to spend to incarcerate men within the prison system. And that is what it's all about. To continue the conversation and to add to that, we welcome the Chief Education Officer and Counseling Program Manager, Alfonso Gilbert and Tony Arneson. Am I saying that right, Tony?
Yes, sir.
And gentlemen, thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having us.
Well, it's our pleasure to be on campus. So, Alfonso, I'll start with you and just ask you kind of, what your role is and what is a day like for you on campus with Men of Valor?
Yeah, so my name's Alfonso, and as you said, I'm the Chief Education Officer, and I'm in charge of helping develop our team in terms of leadership development, but also I help oversee our counseling department. The previous gentleman that was here with you, Michael Sweat, was talking about the trauma that he endured in childhood. So one of the things that Tony and I do is we help process the trauma that these men have survived in childhood.
Right. And how important is that, Tony? I mean, I would think, just hearing it, it's obvious on its face how important it is to kind of get to those issues to help better understand what would lead men to a life of crime or to a life behind bars.
Yeah, absolutely. I believe trauma kind of precedes addiction. So usually there's the kind of unresolved childhood issues that individuals kind of bring to the table, and then incarceration certainly doesn't help that because, they're going to experience at least a major trauma while they're incarcerated, and then as they get out, the statistics kind of point to at least having another traumatic experience within that first year. Mm-hmm. So we kind of want to create a little bit of a buffer zone for them here. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So when you say when you talk about education, are we talking about just life skills? Or are you talking about specific, educational opportunities within the system on campus in terms of classroom teaching?
Yeah, so we have a variety of different approaches that we take. We do have classroom space where we teach the guys life skills, and we teach them about trauma. We teach them about addiction. We teach them about recovery. But then we have the additional component that Tony and I and other team members do where we actually do therapeutic counseling, which is an invasive form of therapy where we dive into their trauma, the trauma that we believe catapults them to a life of crime and addiction that ultimately ends up in prison. We help process that trauma so that it helps strengthen their recovery process.
I would think that's in an arena, or that's tricky. That's in a very tender and sensitive place with these men.
It's very sensitive and it's very tender, and for many of them, they don't even realize that they have trauma. So the gentleman that was with you before, Michael Sweat, when he first took our course on trauma, he thought he only had 2 of the 10 most common and problematic traumas in childhood.
Mm-hmm.
After further investigation, we discovered he had 8 or 9 out of the 10. So many of the guys don't even realize that they have trauma. The other challenge is many of them don't want to process the trauma. It's hard. It's hard to revisit the trauma. It's hard to re-experience it, let alone talk about it and process it. So we have to really build favor with them. We have to be careful. We have to be very sensitive. We have to be very delicate. We have to build rapport. We have to validate them. We have to make them feel safe emotionally, physically, spiritually, for them to come to a place where they recognize, man, I really do need to process this trauma, as Michael did. And those that do overwhelmingly expedite their recovery process.
Well, and I don't want to speak, obviously, Michael spoke for himself very eloquently, and I don't want to speak for him, but, he talked about, touching the program touching him, being a part of the program, splitting back away. And it feels like what you're saying is without getting into those types of things, those causal factors, that, it's harder to understand what you went through. It's harder to understand why you were doing what you were doing in order to process it and break free from it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I want to, I think it's on the minds of listeners. It's on my mind at least. And either you, Alfonso or Tony, you can speak to this. But, obviously, when you talk about the causal factors, no one is excusing the actions of the individuals. But at the same time, we're trying to, Tony, better understand them because it helps the individual as they're walking a spiritual journey to walk that psychological journey to make sure they don't repeat some of the patterns of the past.
Absolutely. I was doing a group in Riverbend last week, and we had a bunch of guys that said, man, I had no idea that I had any childhood trauma. And so we kind of unpacked that, right? And, a lot of our clients obviously come from carceral situations, whether it's, prison or whether it's a jail setting. And so we want to kind of create a safe space for them to be able to explore that. And we're helping them kind of rewrite their narrative, right? And so with a lot of trauma work, the work doesn't happen until they feel safe. And then, the other part of that is learning how to rebuild connection with other people.
Trust, I would expect.
Trust. Yeah, they kind of push people away.
Not a lot of trust in prison.
No.
Right? Not a lot of trust in prison. So you got to kind of rebuild that from the ground up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't pretend to know like you guys do because you're on the front lines, but I would expect that, when you first encounter, even if these men want to give themselves over to Jesus, they want to give themselves over to a kind of a spiritual reawakening, they're still like they've been taught from they're guys. You rub some dirt on it, move on. You don't have to deal with all that, right? You're dealing with that quite a bit, right?
Yeah, oh yeah.
How do you tackle that? How do you break through it?
Yeah, so that comes through education, right? That's our field, is educating them, making them aware. And as to your point, it's not that we're justifying their actions, we're putting language to their experience. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And putting language to their experience, as Dan Siegel says from UCLA, if you can name it, you can tame it. But most of the guys cannot name it, as Tony said. They're not even aware that they've suffered trauma, because it was all they knew growing up. Growing up in a gang family, a drug addict family, your mom's a prostitute, your dad's a heroin addict. It's all you know, so you don't think that there's anything else. So it becomes normalized to them, and they don't realize that they're traumatized.
Yeah, and for some in our audience, I just want to get down to where the goats can graze on it, right? We're not talking about not getting the bicycle you wanted when you were 8. We're not talking about maybe getting spanked a little more often than the other kids at school. We are talking about, you just brought it, real deal situations where they're growing up in homes where there's rampant drug abuse. There's,
Yes.
Once again, it doesn't excuse the actions, but it helps us as a community understand how men can get to a place as rock bottom as some of these men have got.
Yes, it explains their experience and it validates their experience, because we have to always remember that in order for us to build empathy towards these men, we have to understand that they were violated at a vulnerable age. They were violated and suffered atrocities when they were defenseless, when they were voiceless, when they were powerless. We only see them as the victims of crime while as adults, but many times we often forget that at one point they were the victim. And validating that experience is liberating for them. And you're right, we're not talking about an American spanking that's common to most people.
Right.
We're talking about 10 of the worst traumas that a child can face prior to the age of 18, based on the largest study on childhood abuse in American history from Dr. Vincent Felitti and Robert Anda. They did the study back in '98 and discovered 10 of the most common and worst traumas that a child can face prior to the age of 18. If you suffer 4 or more of those 10, the negative effects it has on our lives quadruples. So let me give you an example. If you've only suffered 1 or 2, you may have maybe a 46% chance of being chronically depressed at some point in your life. If you suffer 4 or more, you now have a 460% chance that you'll be depressed at some point in your life. And then, as Tony was saying, not only have they suffered 4 more of these traumas, but then it's compounded by 5, 10, 15, 20, some of these guys 30 years in prison. And as you said, one of the things that we don't find in prison, and I've been in every prison in the state of Tennessee multiple times, you don't find kindness. Well, as Dr. Bessel van der Kolk, brilliant neuropsychiatrist, says, if you don't have a deep memory of feeling loved as a child, the receptors in the brain that respond to human kindness may simply fail to develop. So these men don't just have an attitude or behavioral problem. There are receptors in the brain that fail to connect, that respond to kindness, which is why you don't see kindness in prison. So they suffer in childhood, and then they suffer 10, 15 years in prison. That combination, now you have what's called post-traumatic stress disorder with developmental trauma. That's complex PTSD now. Mm-hmm. It's a whole nother level.
And so it's your job to kind of try to back that up from a psychological standpoint and kind of rebuild and reconnect some of those receptors that never fully developed in childhood.
That's right. And that's why we hired Tony and his team. He has about 5 therapists under him here at Mennevallo. These are state licensed professional therapists. They are LPCs, LMFTs, LCSWs, and their job is to process that trauma for the men so that it lessens the effect, the negative effect it has on their lives.
Now, and for those, Tony, that are listening, and I'm gonna play kind of the devil's advocate, if you will.
Sure.
Just psychobabble. This, but it is. I mean, as Alfonso was referencing, this is statistically shown that individuals that go through these things in childhood are far more prone to criminal behavior, to violent type behavior, for that lack of kindness. I mean, it's not just us talking about what we think. I mean, we see it statistically, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. And the chances, if somebody has incarceration history, if one of their parents was incarcerated, that's actually one of the 10 ACEs. Okay, that's going to predispose them to incarceration. So we're obviously wanting to cut that off at the pass, that it doesn't materialize in that individual's life.
Yeah,
it's got to be such a delicate process, but so fulfilling. I just talked to Michael, and I can't imagine what that was like, getting him to a place where he can talk about it, where he can share his testimony now and can offer that wonderful guidance as now a staff member and a graduate of Mennevallo. It's got to be fulfilling on that side of it, as hard as the work is to get through that.
Yeah, it's deeply fulfilling because we're dealing with 12.5% of society. 12.5% of society, we know from the studies, have 4 more of those traumas. I'm sure there's listeners right now already asking the question, well, what are the 10 traumas? Let me just name them very quickly. Sexual abuse, physical abuse. We're not talking about American spanking, kids that were beat, hit, kicked. Verbal abuse, which is psychological abuse. kids that grow up in a home where the family's dysfunctional. Number 5, kids that grow up in a home where there is domestic violence. Number 6, kids that grow up in a home where there is substance abuse. Number 7, kids that grow up in a home where mom and dad or caretaker is in and out of prison or jail. Number 8, kids that grow up in a home where somebody is suicidal or has a mental disorder. Number 9, children that grow up in a home where their parents have divorced. And number 10, children that grow up in the home where they have been emotionally deprived. Those are the 10 most common traumas that emerged out of that groundbreaking study.
Wow.
If you have 4 or more, you have a 1,220% chance that you'll attempt suicide. You have a 460% chance that you'll be chronically depressed at some point in your life. And the studies showed, if I'm allowed to say this on air, studies showed that those that had 4 or more over their lifetime had a minimum of 50 sexual partners throughout their life.
Oh, wow.
And we see this with the men. Over 90% of our men that come to our program have 4 or more, like Michael, who was on the air just before me.
Wow. Well, no, it's important. It's important information. Where can I assume that people can find out more. There are resources online. I would imagine that people want to find out more about these 10 points. Can you point them or direct them to where they can find out more? I mean, this is very compelling.
Yeah, ACEs just.
Yeah, it's called the Adverse Childhood Experience Study.
Okay, sure.
And it's the largest to this day, unprecedented study on childhood abuse in American history.
Well, gentlemen, go ahead, Tony.
Yeah, I was going to say, and the average person that is incarcerated there's an average of 4.2 ACEs.
Okay.
So, I mean, obviously that's just hitting the basics for a lot of our.
These negative childhood experiences translate directly to what we see in the prison system and 100%. What we deal with every day.
Yep.
Alfonso, Tony, thank you guys so much for spending some time with us and kind of explaining the psychological aspects of this. We appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely.
You as well.
MOVministry.com. That's MOVministry.com. Click the Give Here button. Give as you can today. It's 25 after the hour. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Super Talk 99.7 WTN, a different kind of day on the Matt Murphy Show. I love it. I absolutely love this day of the year. It is our Men of Valor Giving Tuesday. We beg of you to go to MOVministry.com, click the Give Here button, and give as you can. Giving levels of all types, all shapes, all sizes. Every dollar matters to the wonderful ministry that is Men of Valor. We're on campus at Valor Ridge. Happy to be here. You can watch us on Super Talk TV, by the way, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and Rumble. There are great ways and great reasons to watch the program. I'm not one of them, but we've got a lot of different guests coming in and out from, the reentry manager. If you've missed any of the show, go back and watch some of the show because let me tell you, it's always a very special show. And I beg of you, give as you can, volunteer if you will, to Men of Valor. We're going to catch you up with the 7th Congressional District race coming up in just a few minutes. Matt Van Epps will join us at about 12 minutes from now, maybe a little longer than that, maybe 15 minutes from now, to give us some final thoughts before we cross the finish line at 7 o'clock. They're having a victory celebration, what we hope to be a victory celebration at Maxwell House Hotel a little bit later on tonight. But before we get to that, let's talk to our next guest. She is the head of family ministry with Men of Valor. She is Jenna Carlson, and she joins us to talk about what family ministry is all about. Hello, Jenna. How are you?
Hello.
How odd is it that you took a job at a place where the founder of the organization has the same last name as you? It's very weird.
Weird how that happened.
It's kind of interesting. You were telling me that you married one of Carl's sons. You're now his daughter-in-law.
Yeah.
And it was not a matter of if but when you would be
100%
a part of Men of Valor.
Yep.
But that's got to be a wonderful. It's got to be just a spiritually fulfilling.
Yes,
role.
Absolutely. Well, and like you said, Carl was very matter of fact and to the point, and he's like, Jenna, you're going to be on my team. I need you on my team. You're good at this. You have a heart for this. So yeah, it wasn't will you join? It was like, you're going to join
right.
in some capacity. So I started out over 10 years ago volunteering, and that's when Tevin Peterson was in charge of the family ministry. It was different at that time, and fell in love with the kids, fell in love with the families, fell in in love with everything about Men of Valor. And of course, there's that personal touch and connection with Carl, my father-in-law. And he just had such a heart and passion for this ministry. And specifically for the kids too, because he was what you call a throwaway kid, or what he called a throwaway kid. And so he knew what that felt like. And then he himself was incarcerated, and he knew what that felt like. And so he knew how important it was to break the generational cycle. And he knew that he wanted somebody to be passionate about that. Side note, I'm also a foster parent. And so I've seen through foster care, where these kids come from and what happens and what the system's like if change doesn't happen and reunification doesn't happen, and breaking that cycle is hard and messy, but worth it. But yeah, back to the original point. Started as a volunteer, ended up being Carl's administrative assistant for a while, and then circle back around when Tevin transitioned to aftercare. Had a passion for working with the men again. I took over family ministry and have been there ever since.
What is the family ministry program?
So right now it's structured a little bit differently, but we send out care packages throughout the year. So that looks like almost every single month we're sending something, and we're texting the moms and the caregivers. Sometimes it's grandmas, aunts, cousins, whoever is the caretaker for the family. We're texting them, sending out like Happy New Year with a gift card, like go to Walmart on us, prayer cards, mentorships, connecting them with churches. And like February is Valentine's Day. And then we roll into Easter and we send out flyers for local churches that are saying like, get involved in an Easter egg hunt, go be a part of your community and your church. And then we do a big event every year, which is our back to school event. And so we invite our men and our families to kind of come together and reunite there and have a fun-filled day with like jumpy, bouncy inflatables and hot dog, free lunch.
Have you ever gotten inside of one of the inflatables?
I have, but you know what? Running the show, it's hard to be on the fun side and the running the show side.
I learned, it was a hard lesson to learn about it. Don't go, if you're a grown-up, don't go in one of those inflatables if there's kids in there. They'll kill you.
They will kill you.
You will not
They'll run over you.
You will not make it out of there without
right.
some sort of broken bone.
You're going to be bruised for like 2
muscle,
months.
Right.
Yeah, but no, it's really fun. And the guys, it's a chance for them to be with their families and love on them in a safe space. And our kids walk away with everything they need for back to school. So they fill up their backpacks, and then whatever's left, like our men need backpacks on campus, and they need like composition books and journals for their classes here. So they get a chance to do that. And one this year, it's such a blessing. One of our guys and his daughter actually saw some homeless people across the way from the church we were at. And his sweet little girl came up to me and she said, Miss Jana, is it okay if I take my food bag with my dad over there and share it with these people? Oh my word. I like almost broke down. I was like, of course, so she wanted, so when we talk about the family ministry, we're talking about like the ripple effect, and like this dad is there and his daughter's there, and they're showing, each other love, and he's supporting her and wanting her to be better and to do the right thing. And she sees a homeless, person and wants to share food with them. And oh my gosh, it was such a sweet moment. But that's our big event. And then we just, of course, rolled out of Thanksgiving. So we try to provide food boxes for our men and our families. And we were able to do a gift card drive at a couple of churches. So we gave out Kroger and Walmart gift cards. They're able to go get turkeys and all their food that they need for Thanksgiving. And then now we're rolling into Christmas. And so every year we have, oh my word, amazing sponsors that just rise up and cover all of our kids for Christmas. They don't need anything or want anything when we're done with it. It's amazing. We go above and beyond. Our volunteers and our church people go above and beyond every single time.
So, I mean, and just so I understand it, these are the families of men who are currently in the program.
Yes, correct. So once they get out of prison, and I think Mark was on earlier and mentioned, like, we go and get them whatever time of day. They're here for 30 days, and that's kind of like a decompression, safety. Let me get used to this environment. Let me get used to somewhere that's not prison alone. Mm-hmm. And then we start slowly over the course of that year introducing those relationships, because there's a lot of broken trust there. There's a lot of things that their kids have gone through while they've been absent. And
Right.
so that's part of, we come alongside the families and go, okay, let's plug you in with a church, or let's give you a mentor that wants to text you, or myself for emotional support, spiritual support, mental, how's your mental state of mind? And just, they're doing it 24/7. With little to no help, right? While these guys are gone. So we try to come alongside them and also just explain what our program is, because a lot of times they're confused on, okay, this is just another halfway house. Are they really serious about this? Are they really changing? And so we're able to
Rebuilding
say,
that trust, that
right?
level of trust.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, at some point, I would think, and you tell me, that when they get here, you have to talk with them about, what the situation is, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like, what is your family connection? Do you still have a
Yeah.
connection? Are you trying to? So you're
Yeah.
trying to. I mean, the first steps are trying to establish, okay, where are we?
Yeah.
And where do we want to get?
Right. Like, do you have children? Usually we say under 18 for the care packages. But also, like, I've told so many guys who have said, the reason that they don't have a connection with their kids is like, they don't want anything to do with me. I've ruined it. And I'm like, whoa. I'm a parent, right? My job, I know 100% as a parent, I'm not done until I'm dead.
Right.
And if my daughter hates me one week and loves me the next, that's fine, but I'm still her parent, and I'm still going to push, and I'm still going to be there, and I'm still going to love you, and I'm still going to pray for you, and I'm still going to root for you until I'm in the ground. And I am forceful with our guys about that, because I'm like, no, you are responsible. You are a dad, and they learn how to do that here. They get into these classes and they learn what it means to be a father, because a lot of times their fathers have also been absent and they don't know what to do. They don't know what that looks like. What does it mean to be involved in my kid's life? As simple as, let's do a once a week phone call. Let's check in. Let's see how school's doing. What do they need? What kind of resources can I help them out with? And they eventually get home passes. And so we want, when they go home, okay, well, you take the Thanksgiving food box to your family instead of a volunteer doing that. We want that connection. Or you take the Christmas gifts yourself. Merry Christmas. God loves you. I love you. Men of Valor loves you. All the things, right? So that's kind of what we're building.
We had our annual radiothon for Nashville Rescue Mission recently, and I was speaking to a gentleman who, had found God, and he had, he is a believer, and I was talking to him about his time in prison and the aftermath of that, and how he was led to Jesus, and I, just threw out there, well, have you been able to reconnect with your family? And it was just such a difficult conversation, because he said no. And he said, no, my daughter is 10. My wife will not let me see her. She hasn't gotten there yet. And it just broke me down, Jenna, because he said, God, I just have to trust that God will give me that when I'm ready for it. And I'm sure you experienced that, that side of it too. But what a blessing it is when that level of trust does build back up.
Yeah.
And where you see that reconnection with these families. That's such a wonderful thing.
And Michael Sweat was on here earlier, I know. And let me tell you, I'm just going to have to just say this and brag.
Brag on him?
I love his girls. Like, I had them when I was a volunteer, and they are fun, energetic, just like spunky. They're just the best. And I'm like, all that these kids want is what every single one of us want. They just want to be loved and valued and cherished and know that they matter. And, they're not forgotten, because Carl used to call them, as we kind of reference them as the forgotten innocent victims of crime. But it's not their fault. But when we break that generational cycle, things change and they move in a different direction. And then it doesn't have to be that way. And that's what we want these men to do for their families, is you go home and you love your family, and that's your mission now.
Right.
And they change forever. And that child doesn't have to experience the 8 to 10 ACEs, those adverse childhood experiences that Alfonso mentioned. They don't have to go through that, because you've changed it at Men of Valor. You broke it and you made it right and you made it better. And now you can see your kid do above and beyond what you ever imagined and what God designed them for.
Jenna, what's the message in the minute or so that we have left? What's the message to the people listening that are driving home? Maybe they're out and about on a Tuesday night going to shop or whatever. What is the message regarding Men of Valor and the effectiveness of the program and what you guys do?
So, in short, the number one, we know this, statistics show the number one indicator that a child will end up in prison is if they have an incarcerated loved one, right? And the only way to break that is to do what we're doing. It's to change the man, it's to change the families, it's to love on the moms, the grandmas, the people taking care of the kids. I guess the message would just be, don't be intimidated to share love, because they deserve a chance just like anybody else. And again, like coming from foster mom heart, like I love these kids personally, and there's no possible way that you won't love them. Pray for them. Prayer is always important. Give what you can. If you don't have the financial means, you can volunteer.
That's right.
Help us put together care packages.
Jenna, thank you so much.
Absolutely.
It's a wonderful message. It's a wonderful testimony, and we appreciate everything that you guys do.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
There's Jenna Carlson joining us for a few moments. movministry.com is the website. Click the Give Here button, and then give as you can. Or, as Jenna mentioned, if you don't have anything to give from a financial standpoint, perhaps consider volunteering. If not now, think about it. Get into the new year. Let your heart drive you back to movministry.com and give whatever you're able through volunteerism and through your financial donations. It's 51 after the hour. We're going to speak to Matt Van Epps coming up in just a moment, and we continue live from Valor Ridge. It's the Men of Valor Giving Tuesday on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. WTN, we're live at the Men of Valor campus, Valor Ridge, for our Giving Tuesday program. And we are pleased to be joined on the phone for a few moments by Matt Van Epps, the man of the hour. He is running as a Republican in the 7th Congressional District. And we've got an hour to go, Matt. Final pitch, final time for people to get in line and vote for you to represent the 7th Congressional District in Congress. Matt, thanks for being on with us in the final hours.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. We've got 1 hour left. And for anybody that can hear me right now that is in the Tennessee 7th Congressional District, or if you think you might be in the Tennessee 7th Congressional District and you have not voted, I ask you to go vote. Every single vote today matters. This is literally about the direction we want to take our country. Continuing with America First to support our families, our farmers, our military, and our veterans, or going in a direction that is not good for our district and not good for our country. My opponent is a socialist that wants to increase taxes to fund a socialist agenda that has been endorsed by the Democratic Socialists of America. It's a direction we cannot afford to go in. And the only way to win today, the only way to stop crazy from happening, is to get out and vote. And so if you can hear me today and you're in the district or you think you might be, I ask you to go to your polling location and vote. And we need it. We're in a great position right now, and we want to win by the biggest margin possible, and we do that when everybody gets out and votes.
I mean, how excited are you for this opportunity? We don't want to count chickens before they hatch, Matt, obviously. You don't take anything for granted, but it looks great. I think this good-looking turnout, we were talking to the Secretary of State earlier. He felt like the turnout was pretty good. So we're seeing people getting out to the polls. I think that bodes well because the 7th Congressional District, they're simply in line with the America First agenda, in line with what you're presenting as a congressman as opposed to your opponent who is an avowed socialist. So, I mean, I think the distinction could not be clearer, and I'm very excited about you getting to Washington, D.C. and getting to work.
Absolutely. Well, I'm excited about that too, and it's the Army background in me that the mission's not done until it's done, and we're pushing forward. And we've had a great day today. We've had a great day yesterday. The speaker was with me campaigning all day yesterday. It was an honor to have him boots on the ground. I think we were in 6 counties and did probably 10 events, and it was a great day to see the momentum and the energy that was real. We brought that into today. And to see that today, we were in a bunch of counties today at polling locations, and to just be out with the voters and be able to talk and interact. And it's incredible. It's humbling. And we're going to bring it home today. And there's an opportunity right now to be a part of this historic win. And if you can hear me, go out, bring your friends with you, ask them to get out and vote. And this one is really important. They're all important, but this one is really important. It really is about the direction we want to move our country. The margins in the U.S. House are very narrow, and they potentially could get more narrow depending on what California does and some of these other elections. And so this one allows us to hold the ground, to hold the House as we push into 2026. We keep our margin and we expand it. And so your listeners today, I ask you to support us, to get out there. You can be a part of this historic movement, and we're excited to get this one done.
And I guess you'll be watching election results a little bit later on tonight in Nashville. Is that correct?
That's right.
Well, we look forward to a big party in Nashville, Tennessee at the Maxwell House. And Matt, obviously, let's get out to vote. Another hour to go. Hopefully, you and I will be talking very soon as a Congressman-elect, Matt Van Epps. We appreciate you spending a little time with us today, and thank you so much. And we'll talk to you again very soon.
Matt, thanks so much. Thanks for what you do. Appreciate it a lot.
Yes, sir. Take care. There's Matt Van Epps, who's running and seeking your vote with an hour to go, less than an hour to go now, as it is 6:01. We'll be back in a moment at Valor Ridge campus, Men of Valor. It's our Giving Tuesday. It's a very different and special show that we do once a year, begging of you to give as you can to such a wonderful organization like Men of Valor. We'll get an opportunity to speak with Alex Perez in just a moment. He's going to talk to us about the Hispanic ministry that they're offering with Men of Valor. That's coming up next, right after the news on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.